the Sound of Podcast. The show about podcast and broadcast. Starts now.
Amanda, I think there's been changes in your life.
Just a couple.
Just catch me up, because you exited from Chorus and now you've got lead podcasting.
That's right. Well, I always had lead podcasting, but I had taken a step aside and focused on my role as the director of talk and talent for AM 640 Toronto for close to 2 years. And at the end of August 2023, we parted ways. So definitely a big change, but I'm excited to pull myself fully back into the world of podcasting, which I've always loved. I made my first podcast in 2010, so this is not new for me. And I launched my business in 2020. And it was pretty well known that when I took on the role with Chorus, I had hired out some people to help with managing operations and take a step into the day-to-day that I was doing. And then it was really high level with the business. And so now I've just folded myself back in, and I'm happy that I was able to keep the team that I had hired because they were all so brilliant. And so that's what. And I also got married. So a lot of big professional and personal changes in the last couple months.
And along comes the Soundwave Summit, which is an idea you proposed recently. We started to talk about it a little while ago. I feel like, okay, Amanda's been doing some broadcast stuff and she's arrived back in podcasting, and she's going to try to solve all the problems that she identifies with this one summit. And I think it's great.
Thank you. Maybe a bit of a lofty summary, but yeah, hopeful. You know what the true honest fact is that this idea emerged when I was still in the role with Chorus, and I actually started making moves to have this happen even back then. And so really the origin story is there was a podcast conference in the spring 2023, and there was a lot of CBC guests and shows being promoted from the stage, which is great. They're doing some brilliant work, but there was a lot of independent production houses and producers that were doing such brilliant work. Not only my own company, but I was looking around me in the audience and I just thought, why aren't you on a stage? Why aren't you on a stage? And in between sessions, there was a little ragtag team of us that came together and said, yeah, why aren't we on the stage? We're doing some amazing things. And we also found that this conference flew in a lot of talent from the US. And we just thought we have so much local talent that's just sitting here. And some of the tips and conversations weren't really relevant to the Canadian audiences. And so we just banded together and said, why don't we do our own thing? Kind of anarchist, which I like. And here it is. It's a year later and it's a reality. So the key partners have come through being lead podcasting, the Sonar Network and the Chidinma Network, but we were having support from so many other independent creators across Canada, including the Sound Off Network. So I'm really excited to really highlight local talent and solve some problems that we have here and then celebrate the awesome work that we're doing here. Because I think that sometimes gets lost.
So we're going to do it on June 6th. Going to be in Toronto. Couple different portions. We got the daytime portion. We got the nighttime portion.
Yeah.
So we're going to need 2 sets of clothes.
Basically. And it might be 2 different audiences. We're really trying to make it open for whoever. So if you're a creator, you want to learn more about the industry, or you want to be a creator, the daytime portion's definitely for you. We're going to have some learning sessions, networking opportunities. We're going to be running a whole afternoon on monetization and money. So that's a key topic that a lot of people are scratching their head about. And so we're going to be bringing some of the best to the stage there. I'm doing the morning keynote. So I'm doing the state of the industry right out of the gate, first thing in the morning. So obviously I'm biased, but you don't want to miss that. And then we're going to have a quick break. And then the night portion will just be highlighting shows doing some live podcast performances from a stage. And so this is cool because you will see some big shows doing some live performances, but it's usually just that one show and they're targeting their audience. But we thought, why not help get people listening to new podcasts? So even if you have one that you love, you'll come for them, but then there's going to be a total of 4 live performances. So it's almost like a little variety night. And so this is for, if you're making podcasts, I think you'll be inspired and want to come. But also if you're just a fan and you want to celebrate live podcasting, this is the night for you. And so that's going to run 7 to 10. We have 4 different shows and a surprise show that'll just be a quickie from me, but I won't say more than that.
Okay. By the way, anybody who's looking to know, I mean, I could spend the whole time just listing off what's happening and all that stuff is in the show notes of this episode. So you can follow along and scroll as you're listening to us talk about all this stuff. I do want to talk about the money part because this session, you talked about the afternoon being a lot about monetization. We're Canadian. It's nice to know that people in Toronto as well have also identified that money is an issue. We've just kicked this around so many times. Kattie Laur, who's going to get up and talk about where's the money for Canadian podcasts. So this is really a centerpiece, I think, of it. And, the first session after lunch is always large.
Yeah, we strategically put it there, and that kicks off our afternoon about money. So Kattie's session is also going to be having some panelists, including representation from Canada Land and Vocal Fry Studios. So again, some great independent production houses that are local. And I love the title of her session, Where's the Money for Canadian Podcasts? Very specific to Canada. And then we have a session about monetizing your voice and like really becoming a brand and leaning into influencer marketing. So joining Kattie, we'll have someone from Canada Land and then someone else from Vocal Fry Studios. So that panel is going to be incredible and really highlighting some local talent from production houses, independent production houses in Canada. And then we have a session about influencer marketing and how to position yourself as a brand and get some influencer deals. And then the third session in that afternoon will be about selling ads. And all of these are different elements of the monetization. So I think sometimes when we talk about monetization, and if we want to get granular here, we can go there, but monetization's nuanced. And I think a lot of people just take this big high level approach and go, well, we're going to have a conversation about money, but there's so many different tracks and how you can do it. And so we're really going to break it down. And I think it's important to get granular with exactly how. And if you want to go the route of ads, are we talking baked in or programmatic ads? And if you want to go talking about sponsorship, is it sponsoring your show or is it sponsoring you as the host? And really drilling down in how you can make that sort of money. And to be honest, we don't have all the answers. Let's be fair. The industry is evolving by the day. Tech is evolving by the day. And so there's new opportunities even to monetize just based on the tech that's available. So we're going to really acknowledge the state of where things are at, some hopes for the future, and also give people some confidence around picking a track that they can really experiment and dive deep with and have some realistic expectations around what to expect when going down that track.
So I think you bridged this really, really well, because one of the things a lot of people come to me and don't understand is the business of podcasting with the programmatic and the baked in, and what's the third-party tracking pixel, and how do I get involved with the people, and what is VAST anyway, and all this other stuff. But the thing I recommend, and I know, I think anybody who's been around this long enough knows, especially in Canada, you've got to know how to partner with brands. And it's because you're more than just mid-rolls and pre-rolls and all that other stuff. And you were talking a little bit about influencer marketing, and you've got an influencer specialist who's going to be there. So if you spent too much time in radio like me, that's the one you want to go to. If you have not spent any time in the broadcast industry, you want to go to the part with Jordana Katz, selling yourself the business of podcasting. Take notes on both sides, and somewhere in the middle, you should find a happy medium for whatever it is that your podcast does.
That's right. I think it's interesting because people who are trying to read up on this online too, it can be very overwhelming. There's a lot out there. And also I find there's a lot of gimmicky, I don't know if this bugs you, Matt, but for me, the like, make 100K overnight, grow your listenership 10X, like these kinds of promises. Join my online course and you'll be a millionaire with your podcast. Like, I can't stand that. It dilutes the industry, and it really, I think it just increases a lot of the myths and misinformation around this sort of thing. And so we're trying to really cut through all that.
Well, it doesn't help that YouTube has involved themselves with podcasting, because you can manipulate channels and you can manipulate subscribers and that stuff. And to think that you can do it in podcasting, you really can't. I'm sure there's somebody out there who can go and get me 100,000 downloads or whatever. Are they in radio and podcasting? No. So that's fairly useless. What am I going to do with that?
Are they bots that are playing your podcast? Yes. And every time someone has come up with one of these little hacks, it doesn't last. The algorithm changes, the tech evolves, and then it doesn't work anymore. And so they're just short-lived wins, which I don't think is worth investing your time in.
So tell me where this is, because I just got interested in lunch, and lunch, you said we could venture off-site and off-campus for lunch. So what part of town is it in, and where is it?
Yeah, so it's all happening in Toronto. The daytime portion is happening at StartWell, which is an awesome co-working space, and they've come on as partners for the event. They also have a podcast studio in there, which is very cool, and you can go check out. And they're located at King and Tecumseh, so King Street West, and that'll be for that daytime portion. The nighttime, we're going to be on Bloor West at Paradise Theater. So it's really going to feel like a proper show. And so that'll be fun for the evening portion.
Opening remarks is going to be Erica Kasupanen, who I had no idea who that was up until the latest episode of The Women of Ill Repute.
Yes.
The episode just came out today. I had no idea. So she was on Survivor.
Yes. she was a winner. She won the whole thing. So a big deal.
It was back in 2020. I think it was during the pandemic that all this occurred. But again, it's really incredible to see the people that you don't know. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, I do know all these people.
Yeah. And I think that was part of it is we have some awesome local people who are doing great things. And Erica has her own podcast too, right? So we have these people working hard, experimenting with the medium, doing well, and they deserve some stage time too.
It doesn't seem like this event, and this is nice and a relief. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking too much about tech outside of the monetization part. And I think that's very conscious of everybody getting together. We don't need to talk about how to launch a podcast. We just need to figure out what to do when we have a podcast.
That's right.
But at the same time, if you haven't started a podcast, do come to this.
Yeah, I think we wanted to take it to the next level and really focus on the areas that we found would be relevant for everyone, even people who had been in the industry for a while. But it doesn't mean that beginners aren't welcome. My opening address is going to be eye level for everybody, and it level sets the whole day. We also do have a session about pitching to podcast networks. And so that's great. If you don't have a show at all, but you want to pitch, you're going to get some great insight from the Sonar Network. And we also are going to be available for office hours is what we're calling it, at the end of the day. So a lot of our speakers, including myself, Mike Mongiardi from the Sonar Network, and Sherley Joseph from the Chidinma Network, we're going to be set up in offices because it's a co-working space. And this portion is actually giving a shout out to Great Lakes Brewery. They're going to be giving beers for this session, so free drinks, and you'll be able to just cycle into our offices and come pick our brains. Ask us whatever you want. We've been in the biz for 10 plus years, each of us, so we can really help you catch up on any of those gaps that maybe weren't covered if you are a beginner.
Okay, so for a lot of people, this is going to be a great opportunity to come to an event. I've been to Podcast Movement a number of times, been to radio conferences, and I think when people buy the ticket, the next thing they think about is, oh, what should I bring? And before the pandemic, I used to bring cards and whatnot. And business cards I still think work. But for anybody who's going, what are some of the hacks that you think in your mind? Okay, I've got this ticket. I want to go network for the day. I've never left my basement because I'm an independent podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm scared to leave, but now I'm going to meet these people. What are some of the things we should be thinking about bringing?
Well, you know what? First off, I just want to say everyone's going to feel that way. So I think I've even talked to people who are like, I might just stand in the corner the whole time. And I laughed because I just said, well, you're being in a room with podcasters and everyone's going to be migrating to the corner. So actually, you'll probably make some friends there. But I really think you could just come as you are. You could bring a notebook or just your phone. I find that just in general, networking events post-pandemic, yes, a couple people still ask for cards, but everyone just wants to add me on LinkedIn. I think it's a LinkedIn ad. So if you don't have your LinkedIn set up, that's what I would recommend you do. And connect with people, because I find professionally that's a place where a lot of deals are being done.
I love the networking aspect of the whole thing. Do you have a hashtag in mind for the event?
Oh my gosh, we didn't pick a hashtag. Is it just Soundwave Summit? I don't know, Matt. Maybe you can define it.
Yeah. I think once you get to my age, I'm not really in charge of social media.
Oh my goodness. The age doesn't matter. And you're actually great on social media. Sound Off Network does some really good social assets.
Thank you. Hashtag Soundwave Summit. That might work. And then somebody cooler will think of something better, and then we're all going to migrate to that hashtag.
Right. It's going to be a word I haven't even heard of. Some Gen Z will come up and school me on how cool I am.
I didn't even talk about the tickets and how to get tickets, but I obviously know it's at the soundwavesummit.com.
Yeah. And if you go to tickets at the top, you get to choose. It's neat. You get to either pick if you want daytime portion, you could just buy that. It's $55. In the evening, if you just want that, it's $65. But if you want full day, $100. And we're giving 15% off for people who are listening to the Sound Off Network. So Sound Off 15 if you want 15% off, either any of those options for tickets.
I love the fact that you just did the plug for me.
I mean, we're partners in it. This is it. We're all in this together.
That is so afternoon drive radio, where you do the plug for me and we can just go to commercial. Now we can get more commercials in.
We've both been in radio when.
Yeah, exactly. Amanda, thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing you June 6th. It's a Thursday.
See you then.
The Sound Off Podcast is written and hosted by Matt Kundle. Produced by Evan Serminski. Edited by Chloe Emo Lane. Social media by Aiden Glassy. Another great creation from the Sound Off Media Company. There's always more at soundoffpodcast.com.